Hey, what's up, Dean? Super Performance. We are back. And almost empty. We got JR's kit car. I think it's like a 34 Ford kind of replica. Um, he bought it from somebody. Now, I guess the guy that built these used to be in Mount Dora, Florida. And he does them on a Ranger chassis, I believe is what he said. So it's got a blueprint 302-ish kind of motor. He has the paperwork for that stuff. It's got a FiTech and a bunch of other odds and ends types of things. But main thing was he was having issues with the battery drawing down. And like it just runs like crap, which is, I chucked it up to the FiTech, but I think we're having a fuel pump issue. I have some pieces coming so I could put a gauge on it and see what the pressure is. If the pressure is good, then the FiTech is just, it's not doing what it's supposed to do. But this bundle of mess is not good. Like, this was his charging wires. Well, they're both labeled alternator power, but there's no wire from the back of the alternator to the battery. So the back of the alternator would be like 13.6 charging. The battery was like 12.5, 12.6. That's not good. It's basically, it can't feed enough. It has a voltage drop, basically. It's what I'm. It has a voltage drop, guaranteed. But I think it's an amperage issue, or there's nothing feeding the battery alternator voltage except for a couple of wires that have to go through an entire system. So I think something. It's not right. Basically, you need a fat cable, basically a battery cable off the back of the alternator, direct to battery, or direct to starter. The starter's right down there. So, right down there, and you can see all the melted wires on it, kind of. There it goes. Yeah, you see a big bare wire on it. I don't know why. I haven't gotten under there to look yet, but that's not good. So I started pulling all the stuff out, and it's wild. This relay is, this plug is for the fuel pump off the FiTech, and the battery wire was connected. Yeah, this was direct to the battery, and then the orange pump, the orange wire goes, I'm assuming, goes over to the pump. Then I started looking at all of this stuff. They didn't do an AC trigger to kind of kick the IAC up when you turn the AC on. Just piles and piles of wires everywhere. This is the coil power. Like, it's this long and the coil's right there. Like, it comes from right here in this harness. Pull it back out. You could have literally snipped more than a foot of wire off. So I had seen that yesterday, kind of start scratching, things shouldn't be this way. I see another wire here, goes to nothing. Then we have this wire, which is the trigger wire for the fan. I guess it's probably ground from the FiTech, but it's soldered and there's no tape. Well, there's tape here, but it's not how you do it. So I'm gonna clip that out because it goes over. Not only is it this long, and these plugs were stuffed back here, but it's this long, then it wraps down, comes all the way down to that relay down there. Like, it's just crazy. it's crazy. So cutting that off, and then I could pull that wire out, throw that over there. This one could stay. Now all I have is this blue one, which is tack signal, which again, just taped. I'm gonna assume I'm gonna find a solder joint in here. And that one runs all the way over there. I don't know where it's going though. Oh, that might be going to the distributor. Yeah, I see a gray wire up there. Not sure. Oh, maybe it just loops all the way back around. Who knows? Yep. So, another solder joint, which is fine. You could have a solder joint. I don't care about that. But put heat sleeve. So we'll clip that. Somehow, some way, we'll clip it. One-handed is hard. Clip that, and then we'll go over here. See where it goes. Yeah, so this is going to the distributor. Oh, well that's good. You've got a secondary joint for it. But it comes over here to the distributor wires. Yeah. So we'll I'll label this side of it because I'll cut these off. Actually, oh, can't pull that out. So I'll cut that. I'll label that. This side's not too bad. Couple of wires. This black one, which also is distributor, but it's a little bit of a mess. And then you got this tube here. We don't know where it goes. It looks like it's got transmission fluid in it, and it comes up to a gauge over here, which is oil pressure, but he might be doing transmission pressure on it. Again, I gotta get it up in the air and look. I don't see where it goes on the transmission, so have to look for that one. But if we can get rid of it, we'll get rid of it. If not, we'll leave it. Then you got like just holes bored in the firewall with a couple of wires sticking through. I don't know what this one's for. I think that's for the FiTech. No, yeah, that's for the FiTech handheld that stays on all the time. So that's wired to battery instead of switched. So pull that out. I believe that's this one here. So I will crawl under there, do all that stuff. I haven't even looked under the dash really. I know there's a more of a modern fuse box, like a bus type fuse box right there. So, oh, and there's the radio. Holy moly. Yeah, I didn't look very good under here. Brake switch. So he's got the FiTech tied into the brake switch. Yeah, so there's that tube. Then, you know, most of the stuff is pretty clean, like the harness wise, and then it's just the add-on stuff. Like, look, you've got a male connector here to a female spade. Then right behind it is another spade junction, instead of just butt connecting heat shrinking or something. I'll have to figure out what that goes to. It's just a few really weird things. That's all. There's another wire hanging. Female spade. A black wire. wire to something. No idea. Don't see it. I can pull it, but I don't see it. Alright, oh, I have to figure that one out. Oh, look at that. They're behind the gas pedal. Huh. Oh, that's... Okay, that's weird. Yeah, so they're in the gas pedal, so when you step on the gas pedal, the cable will rub through your power wire. Brilliant. I'll have to pop those off. Fix that. What are we doing? Look at this. Let's see. There we go. Yeah, so that's that wire there. That's for the handheld. There's a big ground lug up there. That's cool. There's another relay. Yeah, a couple wires current there. So, yay me. I'll have to go through and figure out what's what. I would imagine, yeah. So there is a radio fuse. I would assume that's the radio fuse. So there should be a key on ignition for the radio. He was thinking that the radio is wired directly to the battery, because there's a couple wires out there that were kind of left. One was connected positive on the battery. I believe it was, yeah, these right here. So the black one was battery positive and the white one was just left dangling. And he said the radio doesn't work unless you connect the white one to the negative on the battery. So that's weird to me. And I know what cord this is. I know what kind of wire this is. I just can't think of it off the top of my head. Unless it's like old school auto wire. But the cover feels familiar. I just can't remember. So maybe I'll tug that one back in. Actually tie it in underneath how it's supposed to be. Okay, so I was interrupted and then forgot what I was doing, of course. So back over here, I disconnected more stuff. I got the tachometer wire. Again, like how long do you need that to go to the negative on the coil? It's over a foot longer. Plus the fact that the FiTech has its own tach wire. Like, what are we doing? I pulled the positive battery wire out. Pulled this wire over. This is the coil power. And then there's that other wire right here that goes to something. I'll have to trace that back, but that's not connected to anything. I don't see any writing on this one, so I'm not sure if it was added in. Yeah, I don't see any writing on it anywhere. So it must have been added in from somewhere. But I'll have to trace that. The rest of the wires aren't terrible. I don't know where this blue one goes. I think that's oil pressure, which I'll probably take off the front of the intake and bring it around the back. I disconnected all the FiTech stuff except for the wideband. I got that harness up over here. So the wideband, they're always long. I mean, that's huge. I can cut and trim that down some. I probably will. The FiTech harness, ow. Not sure if I'm going to, I'll probably route it on that side. I'm going to try and keep as much stuff as I can on the passenger side. So I'll probably reroute this main harness to over there. Maybe cut it down some. I want to try and eliminate the fuses. Oh, Well, it's not exactly a fuse. Okay. What do we got here? Oh, that has a fuse in it. Again, sorry, I don't need 900 lawnmower updates a day. So we have a fuse here. So 2 of the 3 have fuses in them. I would like to eliminate them. The only issue with that is, they wire into the plug. I could just cut them and butt connect them and then run them off of a fuse, is what I would like to do. But I'm going to leave them for now and see exactly how I want to do it, because I have a couple of things coming. I have a couple of those like power strip pieces coming. I may do I might power the FiTech off a relay. And I'm going to have to look at the book for that, because their colors are a little bit weird. I don't remember, because that yellow was direct to battery positive. So I'll have to look at a couple of different things. I disconnected the coolant sensor because it's very long. Doesn't need to be that long. This one can get cut down and just made to plug in right here, so it's a little bit neater. And that blue one is the oil pressure over here. So yes, I will take the blue one out, bring it around the back, or bring it around the front of the distributor, maybe. Yeah, I might bring it around the front of the distributor and down. But there's a few wires here. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know yet. This is just a ground. Black is a ground for the distributor. So I may take it off from back here and actually run it to like a battery ground, because the intake's not the best ground spot, being that it has to go through gaskets and bolts and all that stuff to ground. I could bring it to the back, like a bell housing bowl or something like that, but that's kind of a pain in the butt. Back of the head, I could do back of the head. I have to make sure that there's definitely a ground off the block. So I'm going to get this up in the air and start checking that. Alright, so I got everything off the car. I got the battery positive off the starter, the ground off the bell housing, bunch of wires I already cut and shortened. I shortened the wideband over here, down there, that one back there, that big heat shrink tube. I shortened that one. I shortened the coolant temp sensor, and I am done for today. I did pull out the instructions, which they're funny, but I also just flopped the coil wire to the other side. I'm not going to move the coil. I'm going to leave it there. I started sorting the wires that are going to stay out here, but obviously, like, this is the water temp sensor and the sensor's back there. It's right there. So it doesn't need to be that long. This is the oil pressure sender. I might have to extend it, maybe not. Here's the tack wire that I'm gonna put like a single plug on, because it doesn't make sense to me that they just left this wire out. It's a three wire weather pack, and then they just leave this wire out. So I'm actually gonna cut it back, put a single wire connector like the ones I use on the AC, and then feed it back through the plastic loom. I don't know if I'll be able to. I'm going to try to shove a wire through there so that it's like tucked in with all these. Worst case, I could put a piece of heat sleeve. I may get rid of all this plastic anyways, and loom it all together instead of separate. So that, and then these wires probably won't get shortened because they both go to the distributor, so they're a pretty good length here. But like I said, I'll probably re-loom it all together. Then the ground is actually good enough. I'll put one of those ground distributions on the firewall. I think I'm going to do the ground and the positive like next to each other. That hose is actually going down to the transmission, so it may work, it may not work, but it's not something I could just take off and leave. Then I'm a little confused on alternator bypass. I don't know what that means. It's something to do with the Ford regulator, which sucks that we have to use that Ford regulator. But we would have to swap the alternator. This is called a 1G alternator, and they make like what's called a 1G or a 1G, a 2G, and a 3G. And it's like over the years they changed them, but in order to swap it, we'd have to redo all the brackets and everything. And really the easiest way to do that would be to take the front end off, which probably isn't hard, but I'd have to drain all the coolant. I don't know if he wants to go that route. I am searching for diagrams on this, and it does not show a heavy gauge wire from the alternator, which is strange to me because it has a big voltage drop. So it's just weird to me that you don't have a heavy gauge wire. So I am going to, I mean, the size of this wire here that goes in the car, which is all exposed, you know, and this goes down to the starter, and then the size of the bypass wire over there before the yellow connector, it's about the same size, same gauge. It's much smaller. So that's, I don't know, it's weird to me that does that. And then this wire was on the back of the alternator. Yeah, alternator power. But I almost think this is supposed to go down to the starter as well, but I don't know for sure. It just goes into the firewall. Now it's listed as alternator power, so I'm not sure, and I unfortunately don't know whose harness this is. But I got all this stuff over here, the relays that were just kind of off a long stud, really weird, awkwardly. This is the starter solenoid wire, which I already cut. You can see they've got one butt connector, then they have Romex from a house that they had another butt connector that had the ring terminal at the starter. So I'm gonna cut this off, figure out where I'm gonna put it. I might come along the front and go down with the starter wires and then go back. So I'll cut it and extend it around with a nice thick wire. And then the rest of these are all, this is fuel pump and battery for the FiTech and other stuff, which I got to figure all that out. But this is what I find funny in this FiTech. And they did it for years and years and years, and they never admitted to it. So they're calling this a large orange wire. That's all they call it. And it just goes to electric fan. Then over here they say yellow wire, connect to fan, relay, ground. So it's kind of funny because when you come over to this connector, the yellow wire is actually fan 1, but they show it going to The inline fuel pump. Yellow wire. That looks orange to me. Large yellow wire. The fan would be this one. And then large orange wire. Large orange wire they show going to the fan. So they're missing a wire and they got wrong color coded stuff. It's very weird to me. Why FiTech never corrected this, but they never corrected it. It's also very weird to me that they are applying power to the fan directly through their system. That's not good. And the fuel pump directly through their system. That's not good because these are 30 amp fuse. I swapped out that one, the broken one. The other half of it was in here. It's actually right there. So that's a 30 amp fuse, and it doesn't say what fuses are in it, which is another crazy thing. This one does, actually. So required red large, which is over there somewhere. Red large, yeah, it's got to be over there. No, wait, hold up. No, what? Okay, am I missing a wire? No. Huh. Red large? I mean, that's red. Red large, yellow black. Oh, blue, black, orange, O2, wiring harness A, white, yellow. Large red wire, direct to battery, off the 6-pin connector. What in the what? 6-pin, 4-pin. Where's the 6-pin connector? Are they calling this a 6-pin and it's 2-pin? Well, it's 4 and 2. But there's a little red wire there. Where's it go to? Doesn't come out. Son of a... I see it. Right there. So it must... Huh. That's wild. But, regardless, even if this was a large... This one has a 25 amp fuse in it. That one I know. Or a 15. Has a 15 amp fuse. One of them has a... No. Holy... Nope. So there's no large red wire. There's that one over there. I don't know what that one is. Hold on. See? Hate FiTech. Oh, that goes to the IAC. No? Yeah, that's IAC. Yeah, so there's no other harness. Cool. Nope, that's distributor. See? So their directions are completely freaking wrong. 100% wrong. Oh, no. See? Dirty bastards. Large red wire. Connect directly to battery. So that would be the yellow wire. Hiya. So I would imagine that little red wire also connects to that yellow. But yeah, you're powering the fuel pump directly through the system. Yeah, because yeah, power goes in and then comes back out to power the fuel pump. That's stupid. Like, that's extremely stupid. So most likely what I'm going to do, I will cut this yellow wire because they're wrong and it should be red. I'll cut the yellow, find this red, I'll cut the orange, and I will feed a relay power into the yellow, and then I will use the orange to trigger a relay that feeds down to the fuel pump. That way I isolate, they both will get their own direct battery feeds, so there's no kind of wonky feed, screwed up shit inside of there. So I could basically take this connector, cut that orange, that's my fuel pump feed. But yeah, that's what I'm gonna do, because that's just stupid to me, like absolutely stupid. Then the fan actually comes back and goes to this relay here, which is a nice relay. So I may keep this relay. No, probably won't, because there's no fuse in it, and I'm gonna have to fuse. Yeah, I'm gonna have to fuse the relays. So I'll probably use my relays with the fuses in them, and off of that power block I'll feed the battery into each fuse, and then I'll have to feed ignition voltage, which I might do off of this orange. I might do like a jumper to the relays to give it ignition voltage, but the fan will take the ground signal from here. Yeah, I'll have to figure it all out when I get the stuff, the rest of the parts. And then I got crazy in here and started taking everything apart to pull the dash out, because that gray wire, that he thought that the radio didn't work if you didn't hook this up. So I labeled it battery positive, and this was over by the negative. So I followed it in, and it literally goes right here. Both of these wires, this pink and this black, you can see are that white and black that come off of this. And that's it. There's no other wire feeding into this or out of it. So it's kind of weird that is that way. So I think that's just what they were doing, was feeding this direct battery voltage. No fuse or anything, just feed it direct battery voltage, which is kind of another reason why I like lost right now. Really, truly, honestly lost. But anyways, I pulled the carpet back, exposed the hole where I'm going to stick the rest of the wires through that I need to stick through. That red with a white is not fuel level. It's something. I figured it out, now I forgot it. But I mean, I started pulling everything apart, and I cannot get the dash off. I can get it to lift up, but I cannot get it to come forward. So I'm not sure what's hitting. I looked underneath. I I pulled everything apart, which now I got to put everything back together because I can't get this dash out. But I would have liked to have tried to find if there's other wires left from the harness, like power lock maybe. I don't know how this car locks, to be honest with you. It's just got a window switch, so I don't even know if it does lock. It does lock, so you must need to use the key to lock it. I don't know. But if there was like a power lock button or wire, there should be like a cigarette lighter wire or auxiliary, whatever, like battery. So I have to try and like search in there somehow, some way, and find it if I can. If I can't, I can't. See, there's that red with a white. It comes out from behind the pedal, and then it goes up over. Oh, that's right. It goes up and over to the brake switch. Now, I don't know if this is the output side. I believe this is the output side of the brake switch. So, and then it runs along the frame. So I don't know if that's like a third brake light. Maybe that brake light. But why would you run a wire all the way back? Run it over to the brake lights. Tie it in there. So I gotta look at that. I don't know. It's crazy to me. I did order. Hold on. I did order in-tank pump. All of that stuff should be here. There should be a bunch of stuff here today, and then a couple of things should be here. Like first thing in the morning. So I should have everything tomorrow. Hopefully, I can sort through. It shouldn't take long, really, to like sort out the wires that I know where we're going. The alternator will be the only one I'm going to look up tonight, and just try and figure that one out. And then the rest of it should be pretty easy. So hopefully, fingers crossed, like everything just kind of works. And the only wire that I have to find, I think, is the tack signal going in to the cab, which shouldn't be too hard, but then again, who knows? So yeah, I mean, that's about it. I may try to like patch that square hole once I get that red with a white wire out, and for whatever reason that's there, and try and maybe patch that hole a little bit. I don't know if I probably won't try to fiberglass it, because I am not a fiberglass guy. So I may just make like a little panel and just kind of rivet it in, and then shoot a little red paint on it. Then there's this hole here that I don't know what's for. That was for the FiTech, actually. Went through that hole there too. So I may end up putting a different hole down by that one and put a grommet around the wires, and feed the FiTech for the handheld, if we're keeping the FiTech. Feed that inside, which I'll probably do that very, very last. I'll probably hook everything up, get everything going. You know, and if it's a fuel pressure issue and we could change the pump and this thing works, great. I have a feeling this isn't going to work good, which sucks. But everything will be there to just throw a Holly sniper on it. Because that's kind of my thing, is you have everything there. You know, you'd have to change to a low pressure pump, put a carb, figure out you definitely have to move the coil, because the carb would be in the way of the coil, or the coil would be in the way of the carb. You know, so you'd have to kind of redo quite a few things. You'd have to get rid of the return, because the carburetor doesn't have a return. So just a few things that would add up more, in my opinion, than just throwing a Holly sniper on it. So with this distributor, you can't use timing function with this system, but I believe you can use the timing function with the Holly. So there would be that benefit. But yeah, overall. And then I did think yesterday, I didn't think the vacuum advance was hooked up, and it actually is. So the 13 degrees that I saw is not right. That's with it vacuum advance hooked up. You do not read your timing with your vacuum advance hooked up, because it obviously advances your timing. So I think it's way off time. So I need to double check that once I get everything back together and get it up and running. I need to double check that. Long video. Anyways, I'm getting out of here. I'm going home. Appreciate you watching. Like, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified of new videos. Leave me a comment, and as always, have a good day.